What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Always on Guard with Team SWARTZ. This is episode 10, and today's video topic of the day is a day at Meps and what to expect in 2020 and maybe even 2021. All right. So, also in this episode, I will be announcing the winner of the 24 people, one of the 24 people that actually submitted the hashtag below yesterday's video about how the Army Combat Fitness Test is no longer being a graduation requirement at Army Basic Training, AIT, OSA, OCS, WOC School, BOLIC, and all that good stuff. So any type of initial entry training, ACFT is no longer a graduation requirement until October 1st or the beginning of FY 21. Okay. I mean, FY 22, so which is October 1st of 2021. For the rest of us in the Army, we have until 31 March of 2022. But if you want all the nitty gritty details, go check out that video I posted yesterday. So this video is all about Meps, a day at Meps. I mean, Meps, what can I say about Meps? Well, let's backtrack a little bit. So Meps is the acronym for Military Entrance Processing Station. So with that being said, what's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. You're very welcome. All right. So if this is your first time here on Team SWARTZ, welcome. All right, that's one. Two, if you are into learning more about Army basic training, getting through the enlistment process or anything Army related, any type of sensational news going through the Army, I post a ton of Army basic training tips, recruiting related videos to include anything Army related. So if that's what you're into, consider subscribing to this channel, hitting that bell icon, and turning on all notifications so you don't miss anything. I'm Sergeant First Class SWARTZ, your local New York Army National Guard's full-time recruiter and part-time drill sergeant. And on the weekends at the National Guard's Recruit Sustainment Program, I am a part-time drill sergeant in that fashion. But my full-time job is as a recruiter. So if you are interested in learning more about the New York Army National Guard and how we can help you reach your goals, feel free to go in the description area. My contact information is there. Shoot me a text, boss, to get started today. All right, so I see a lot of people tuning in here. That's great. So before I go knee deep into the day at Meps, so in yesterday's video, I said if you drop a hashtag Team SWARTZ in the comment section below that particular video, that I would put you in to go for my Team SWARTZ unit patch. So that's what everyone's competing for at this present moment. So later on, when I'm done talking about Meps and before I open it up to a normal, usual Q&A session about anything Army related that you want to go over, I will pull that person's name out of there, and you have until the end of the week to claim your prize. You just got to be a U.S. resident, and I can mail anywhere in the United States for you. So I'll put that in here. I'll mix them up, and we will go over that momentarily. So, no, I was late to the party. Dump UX TV. All right. So those of you, there was 24 of you out of almost 12,000 subscribers who actually followed my my statement on how to apply for it. But without further ado, let's get down into a day at Meps, what to expect. So we already went over what Meps means. Meps is where dreams are made and dreams are crushed. And with that being said, may the Meps gods be in your favor. We as recruiters, we hate Meps. We hate it with a passion. And you will too. Just be glad that if you're lucky, you only have to deal with Meps once, maybe twice if you ship out of Meps. However, maybe 3 times if you're testing and then going for medical and contract, so on and so forth. But Meps is where you do your testing, any medical exams, you ship out to training, so on and so forth. So it is a one-stop shop to process for the military, and all branches of services processed through a Meps. I happen to not work with, but we process applicants here in Brooklyn, New York through the Fort Hamilton's Meps. Okay. Yeah. So if you had a horrible experience at Meps, drop a hashtag Meps down in the comment section. Yeah, Nick, I'm gonna go over that in a second, but yeah, that's an unfortunate situation, but I will go over that in a second. So with that being said, most MEPs, I know with ours, we meet up at 0600 in the morning. You usually for medical and stuff, we'll put you in the hotel the night before, so we know that you're not going to oversleep, and it may be due to COVID restrictions in your area. It may be a requirement for you to go to the hotel the night prior, so we can screen you for COVID, so on and so forth. And then they'll screen you again outside of MEPS once you actually get there. So once you get through the COVID screening, you go inside. They're going to give you a quick briefing on the do's, don'ts, and basically give you a warning and tell you that if you are found to be lying, that you will be subjected to a possible fine and or imprisonment. All right. So up to a $7,000 fine and up to 10 years in jail if you are found lying. That's more or less if you're like planning on overthrowing the government or doing something crazy like a terrorist attack or something like that, or like maybe an insider spy or something like that, but not for medical stuff, right? If you are found later on with a medical condition that you failed to disclose for XYZ, you'll essentially be make sure that you are medically sound and you will be processed out of the military for medical reasons. So with that being said, from there, you will pre-fill out your medical pre-screen sheets, but the MEPS versions. So to even get to MEPS with your recruiter, you're going to fill out a pre-screening of your medical history report form, okay, with like 1,000 questions on there. And as long as the forms that you complete at MEPS that morning match up and marry up perfectly with what you submitted with your recruiter, you will continue to process. If there is a discrepancy and you did not originally disclose something on the original sheet with your recruiter, but because they made you nervous by stating that, Big Bubba may, do something to you in jail, that's a G-rated version. But some people get scared and they put down the truth and ultimately get disqualified before even processing. Biggest question that people will get is, for whatever reason, they're nervous and they didn't originally disclose it with their recruiter, or maybe they did and they decided to withhold it. And then that moment of truth moment happens and they ask that question, who here smoked marijuana ever in their life? Come on, man. This is New York City. Everyone smokes, blah, blah, blah. And then some dumb knucklehead will raise their hand and be like, I did. And because they didn't originally disclose it, right? They just disqualified themselves. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Do not continue to process. So with that being said, once you get past those medical pre-screen forms in the briefing from the MEPS personnel, not in this particular order, but these are the different stations and things that you will go through while processing for the medical exam at MEPS. The first thing that usually you'll do, the first two things that you'll usually do right up front is your height and weight and your drug and alcohol test. The drug and alcohol test is not through hair or any other method. It is through a urinalysis. So you will literally pee in a cup in front of a MEPS personnel. So do not get performance anxiety, okay? You are going to have to pee in a cup, and they will literally watch your pee come out of your body and into the cup to ensure accuracy and that no one is cheating through any other means or methods. Height and weight, they're checking to see, based on your age and gender, what your height should or your weight should be pertaining to your height. Now, if you exceed the maximum height or height and weight standards, they will essentially disqualify you if you do not pass the body fat test. So for males, they're going to test just below and measure your neck 3 times, just below your Adam's apple, and essentially keeping the measuring tape parallel to the ground from your navel, your belly button, all the way around. And if that calculates to less than the maximum allowable body fat percentage for your age group and gender, then you will be allowed to pass the medical. If not, then you will fail. And depending on how many pounds you are over, will dictate how many pounds per week that you can safely lose before you can come back to MEPS to do a inspect and check your height and weight and so on and so forth. So just your best rule of thumb is just to be under that maximum weight if possible. If not, then underneath your maximum weight allowable for your age and gender. From there, you will move on to your vision test. And this vision test is going to consist of you, at most locations, at least at our MEPS, you're going to look into a machine, which is equivalent to you standing essentially 10 feet away from an eye chart. And you're going to, if you wear contacts, don't even bother wearing contacts that day. Wear your glasses. If you don't have glasses, then wear your contacts, but you're going to have to carry your solution and your or your contacts kit, right? Because you're going to have to read the lowest line possible with your contacts on or with your glasses, cover one eye, the other eye, and then both eyes for with and without your corrective lenses, whether it's glasses or contacts. Just do your best and forget the rest, okay? They're also going to give you a color vision test, which is a series of dots, usually in a circular form, and it's either going to have a letter, a number, or a shape, and you got to be able to tell them what you see. I happen to fail the red-green color vision test, so I am red-green colorblind, which eliminates a lot of the cool jobs that I originally wanted when I first enlisted. Black and white colorblindness will significantly limit to what MOSs or opportunities will be available to you. Now, the people who have difficulty with this test is not only if you wear glasses, but the biggest things that will disqualify someone at Meps and common things that someone or one would get disqualified for at Meps is if you have an astigmatism, high refraction, things of that nature. When you go to, if you pass medical at Meps or ultimately get an approved medical waiver and you do make it to the training site, when going through another mini medical at the training site during the reception battalion, they'll do more in-depth eye exams, not so much vision, but testing you for various eye conditions that they don't do at Meps, like glaucoma and things of that nature, like some crazy stuff that people get disqualified for. But we're just talking about Meps right now. Once you get past vision, you go into the hearing test, and you can have bad hearing in one ear with an approved waiver, of course, if it's bad enough, as long as you have really, really good hearing in the other ear. But most people don't fail the hearing test. My advice to you is when taking the hearing test, close your eyes, because when you close your eyes, if you know you have difficulty hearing certain things, or if you've taken previous hearing tests and you know that you have bad hearing, some of the tips that I can give to you is close your eyes. When you take away one of your senses, your other senses are heightened. So close your eyes. So when you wear the big Mickey Mouse headphones with the wire in it and you move, it's very quiet in there for the most part. So you hear everything. So you'll even hear the cord move around inside the headphones. So keep your head still, control your breathing. I say do shallow breathing, so your breathing isn't detracting your hearing ability. In addition to that, try to figure out the rhythm of the beeps. And if you think you hear a beep or a tone, even if you just think you hear it, hit the button. Okay. You'll know what I mean when you get there. Now, if you have really bad hearing, or if you're really, really concerned, my recommendation is that you go and get your ears professionally cleaned or flushed within a day or two prior to going to Meps for your medical exam. That way it'll ensure that you don't have any earwax in there prohibiting you or hindering your ability to be able to hear the beeps or tones. In addition to that, I would wear earplugs the night before and even at Meps leading up to your hearing exam. Yeah, it sounds weird, right? But if you got that issue, it's worth it. Okay. So wear, like I said, earplugs the day before and all night at minimum until you get inside Meps, preferably as long as you can wear them, unless they ask you to take them out. But yeah, earplugs is a great thing. And for at least a few days to a week prior to you going to Meps for the medical, do not listen to any music loudly or steer clear of any loud environment. So if you work in construction and you're working with the jackhammer or tools or something like that, just do the best that you can. Just don't wear headphones like this and wear or listen to loud music. Okay, that'll help you for the hearing test. And just do your best and forget the rest. Blood work. They're going to take 1 to 3 vials of blood from you, testing for obviously HIV, AIDS, and other diseases, and so on and so forth. Women will also, during the urinalysis, take a pregnancy test in addition to that. I almost forgot about that. Sometimes women find out that they're prego. So study hard. So once your blood work is done, they will separate the males and the females, and they will bring you all in. and you will strip down to your underwear. Females will wear, in addition to their underwear and bra, a paper gown. So it's going to feel really, really uncomfortable because you're going to be in a room all by yourselves with everyone else. But just embrace the suck together, okay? And in this room, they're going to be basically testing your flexibility, coordination, and balance techniques. And what I mean by that is they're going to watch you walk to see if you have a normal step, outward step, inward step. They're going to be checking. Basically, you're going to stand up. You're going to bend over at the hips like a hinge and reach for your toes. You're going to stand up, hold your arms out to your side. See if you can touch your shoulders. Reach for the ceiling. Again, reach for your toes. You're going to see if your wrists have full range of motion, so on and so forth. They're going to look at your hands and fingers, make sure you have all your digits and nothing is missing, and that you have full range of motion of your fingers and toes. And the one of the two things that some applicants can get disqualified for at Meps, but still have the ability to be able to come and perform it within 30 days before they are permanently disqualified, is if you cannot do the duck walk, or basically squat down as if you're picking up papers, drop to your knees, and then simultaneously stand up without lifting one foot up or the other. So if you're standing and you drop down your knees, they want you to basically lean back and stand straight up. What they don't want is put one foot up and then the other one and stand up, if that makes sense. The duck walk is basically the same thing. Squat down as if you're picking up papers and then walk like waddling a duck. Like if you ever played sports or something like that, or did it in elementary school, you're basically just in a squat position in the lowest point possible and then walking. Now, if you walk in the duck walk confidently, right, and your knees are bent really, really good, and you're going heel to toe, you could go 5 to 10 feet. Or if you're waddling, not getting down low enough, or you just don't look coordinated or flexible enough, you could walk the entire room and come back. It really depends on the person at Meps and what they dictate. But if you are a tall person, that's generally somebody who will have difficulty with this, or if they don't have good flexibility of the toes. So what you don't want to do is when you squat down and drop down to your knees for that first one, where you lean back and stand up together without picking up one foot or the other first, simultaneously standing up and leaning back. If what you want to do is curl your toes under, if you point your toes back, toes down, you're not going to be able to stand up. So you're going to go from a standing position, keep your toes where they're at, and then drop down to your knees. That way, all you got to do is lean back and then stand up. You'll know what I mean, and your recruiter would demonstrate it for you. They're also going to be checking for flat feet. So you're going to step onto what we call the soapbox, I believe. It's basically just a box with a clear top and a mirror that's set at a 45-degree angle to look at your footprint to see if you're flat-footed, if you have a normal arch or a high arch. If you're generally flat-footed, it could possibly disqualify you depending on the branch of service or how significant your feet are flat. So the workaround that is, if you're standing, right, point your toes so that they're parallel to each other as if you're standing on a railroad tracks, and then keeping your legs straight, twist your knees outward, so to speak, and that will give more of a false arch of your feet, okay? So once you get done with that room and you do all the, hand and eye coordination techniques, look up, down, left, right, turn your head this way, that way, rotate your head, rotate your arms, make sure you have all full range of motion, all that good stuff. Once you get past that, one by one, you're going to go to the room with the doctor, whether it's a male or female doctor, and they're going to ask you and go through all those questions and all the forms that you completed pertaining to your medical, okay? And your responses need to match what you input onto those forms. If the doctor feels that you are withholding information or you're being less than honest or forthright, the doctor may ask you that same question multiple times, maybe even reword it a little bit, basically insinuating that you're lying. I mean, some doctors have actually gone to the extent where they like rip out their laptop and they're like, well, we're going to find out anyway. We're just going to look it up. So you must just spill the beans now. And then applicants potentially get garbage of the mouth and disclose something that they're not supposed to, or open up a can of worms, essentially. So have that conversation with your recruiter, disclose everything, and take it from there. The doctor's also going to look at your shoulders, see if one is higher than the other. It's not necessarily a bad thing. They're just going to annotate it on the paperwork. They're going to make you curve your back like so, and looking for curvature curvature of your spine, checking for scoliosis. They're going to be checking your heart rate, listening to your heart with the stethoscope, breathing in your chest, on your back, so on and so forth. They're also going to check your pulse. If I hadn't say it, your blood pressure. Now, inherently, most people are going to be a little nervous during a medical exam, so they anticipate at some level high blood pressure, and they may, talk to you a little bit, make you calm, cool, collect, and then recheck your blood pressure. But your blood pressure's got to be good. You don't want to fail that. They're going to look down your throat with that little wooden thing with the light and go make it go, ah, looking down your throat. They're going to look into your ears with that light thingy. What they're looking for in here is, can they see the 3 bones in your ear membrane or the eardrum? Okay. If they can't see any of those because you have too much earwax is not a bad thing. It actually protects your ear, the eardrum, and all that good stuff. However, now that we're getting into the cooler months, when you have earwax and it hardens and they can't look at the 3 bones of the eardrum or ear membrane, they're going to assume that you have an infection or something of a negative nature. So they're going to disqualify you. Now, if your Meps has the ability to be able to flush your ears, perfect. Word to the wise. If you are getting your ears flushed at Meps because they can't quite see the eardrum or the 3 bones, when they put the solution in your ear, that's fine. But when they go to suck it out or blow it out, whatever they do, I want to say they suck it out, do not flinch. If you flinch, you will fail that part of the medical exam because they're going to assume that you're in pain, regardless if it's just a natural reaction of you going, whoa, because you don't usually have things sucked out of your ear, right? So just be cognizant of that and keep that in the back of your mind that if you end up getting your ears flushed, so initially, they're going to tell you that they're getting it ear velage or whatever they call it, right? So they put the solution in there to essentially loosen up the earwax and then suck it out with kind of like that baby thing where they suck out snot from the nose when they're an infant, so on and so forth. Similar concept. So another reason why you get your ears cleaned beforehand is so that you don't have to worry about doing that at Meps and possibly getting disqualified for something as silly as having too much earwax. Again, there's nothing wrong with earwax as long as it's soft. You can have all the right up to the brim. It's fine. As long as they go in there with the light and they can see those 3 things in the eardrum, you are good. But most people have compacted earwax because they generally just don't clean their ears. So what I suggest is the night before, under hot water, when you're taking a shower, just sit there for 5 to 10 minutes, 5 minutes on each side, letting the hot water go into your ear. And what that'll do is loosen up your earwax. And don't use any Q-tips or anything like that afterwards. Just get a washcloth and just dry out ears like this. So you kind of have swimmer's ear. And what that does is, like I said, it loosens up your earwax. Just some tips for you. And the doctor is going to ask you about if you've disclosed any criminal or traffic, basically anything dealing with police involvement. If you annotated it in your paperwork, they're going to ask you questions about it. It is I disagree with it, but I understand where they're coming from. So it's none of their business, but it is their business. So they're looking at your psyche and how you respond to it. So just keep it to the basics. What were you arrested for or accused of? Whatever is on the paperwork, right? And then what the final outcome is and the date of the incident. Know the dates of the incident, what you were charged with, and the outcome. They don't need to know anything else. They just want to make sure that whatever you're sharing with them, that you're just mentally sound, essentially. Sound confident, okay? Again, that goes back to when they're asking you questions. If you find them asking you the same question over and over again, it's because they don't believe you. They feel like you're withholding or being essentially less than honest. So as long as you sound confident, let's say you come from another country, let's say Africa, right? Some country in Africa, and you play soccer and you're barefoot and whatever, and you get scars on your feet or something from playing soccer or whatever. They're going to ask you because they're going to be looking at over your body for any scars, deformities, tattoos, brandings, anything that out of the ordinary. And they're going to question every scar or blemish on your body. They're going to question everything. And if you don't have a legitimate explanation or medical supporting documentation for that issue, if there is medical documentation, then you're going to have issues because they're not going to believe you. So let's say, because, sometimes people out there and they're cutters, right? There are people that purposefully hurt themselves to deal with stress or depression or what have you, right? So if you have clear, straight cuts, it's going to look like you're a cutter. And depending on how you're cutting yourself, it's going to look like you're doing it on purpose, especially if you have multiple ones. Just so you know, if you're a cutter, you're not going to be eligible for enlistment. Or if they perceive you as being a possible cutter, they're going to disqualify you. So that's another discussion you need to have your recruiter, because we are going to ask you if you've ever had mental health issues, if you ever want to hurt yourself, attempt to kill yourself, so on and so forth. So that's another issue. So if you have a scar or something questionable, you have to be able to explain it, and it's got to be able to be legit and make sense and sound confident. If you legitimately cut yourself playing soccer or something along those lines and you don't have medical documentation because you never went to see a doctor for it, listen, I was X amount of years old and this is what happened. And just be confident. You know what I mean? So as long as it makes sense and you're confident, then they won't question much. But if you look and sound like you don't know what you're talking about, or you're just hiding something, they will disqualify you and ask for medical documentation. And it's going to really suck for you if you don't have medical documentation to support it. So, which leads me into, if you disclose something during Meps that you did not originally disclose, regardless of you signing a HIPAA release form to basically give permission for the military to dive into your medical history, we still need to know the who, what, where, when, all that good stuff. There are so many different platforms out there, so many different agencies and doctors and all that stuff. It's not a centralized system where we can tap into it and pull all your medical records. So if you disclose something, the burden of proof is on the applicant. In Meps, to be honest with you, thousands and thousands of people are processing to join the military, and thousands of people get disqualified for various reasons. So the burden of proof of documentation, official documentation, is on the applicant. So if you disclose something, like for you, it's a small thing, but to us, they're going to make it into a big thing. So let's say, for example, you're at Meps, and for whatever reason, while you were with your recruiter, you never even thought of it, but maybe it's the tone of voice, the atmosphere that you're in. Maybe it's just because you're nervous, but something jogs your memory, and let's say you're 24, and you're like, oh man, this one time at band camp when I was 13 years old, I got bronchitis. I went to the hospital because of my lung infection. They gave me a pump and I used an inhaler for 30 days. So to you, no big deal, right? So you're going to give them an inch and you're going to say, oh yeah, I forgot to mention this, but yeah, this moment of truth thing, I don't want to get in trouble. So yeah, I had bronchitis when I was 13 years old, almost, 10 years ago. And, I don't have any documentation on it, but I do remember getting bronchitis, and they did give me a pump for 30 days. Meps doctors are going to be like, oh, okay, thank you. On the paperwork, what they're not telling you is disqualified permanently, possible asthma, pending medical documentation. Meps is not going to pull your medical record. So now that you disclose bronchitis, now you need to prove to the doctors and everyone else that you, in fact, did have bronchitis and that you were prescribed a pump for that one time, right? For bronchitis, and it was for bronchitis and not for asthma. And you're probably gonna have to bring back a negative result for a pulmonary functions test to prove that you don't have asthma. So now you gave an inch, Meps is gonna take a mile and make it a molehill. Like to you, it's just a molehill. To us, it's Mount Everest. Okay. And now you got to jump through hoops to get yourself qualified to join and possibly run a waiver, right? I had a girl, probably like 14 years ago. I've been recruiting for 16 plus years. And about 14 years ago, finally got her to Meps, got her processed. And this girl never told me anything about it, but she told the doctor she had migraine-like headaches. Now, if you know anything about migraines, you're going to have to go see a neurologist while you currently have a migraine to pinpoint anything. Needless to say, 6 months later, once we finally get the medical waiver approved, she enlisted. 6 months later to get that approved because she had a migraine-like headache. Now, she's never been diagnosed for migraines, so we had to get some medical documentations, evaluations from a neurologist and her hospital, her doctor, and so on and so forth. So she had to go and get tested and all that stuff to prove that she never had migraines, and a memorandum from the doctor to state that based on his evaluations over X amount of years that he's been in basically overviewing her and all that good stuff, that she's never had migraines and so on and so forth. She almost got permanently disqualified for life, but we got her medical waiver approved, and she was good to go. So, I cannot tell you to lie. I don't suggest that you lie, but the burden of proof is on the applicant. So Meps doesn't know unless you share it with them. Now, if you get an injury at some point relating to an issue that you've had in the past and you failed to disclose it, like I said, what's going to happen is they're going to make sure that you're healthy, and then they're going to medically chapter you out of the military. So be honest, have that discussion with your recruiter, and share everything with your recruiter. And when you go to Meps, make sure that everything is tight and everything is legit. Okay. So if you do get disqualified, it's either a permanent disqualification or a temporary disqualification. Now, if it's something that could possibly be waived, then Meps is going to temporarily or permanently disqualify you for your medical exam and schedule you for a medical consultation. When they schedule you for a medical consultation, unlike when you scheduled to go there for your medical exam and contract and such, we as recruiters have no control when Meps schedules you for your medical consultation. And sometimes the guidance counselors and or even Meps personnel drop the ball and wait until the last minute to let you know when your medical consultation is. So sometimes it does happen that we find out that morning of or the afternoon, the day prior, and be like, yo, we got to go to Meps tomorrow for your consultation. So you want to go to the hotel tonight, or do you want me to pick you up first thing tomorrow morning at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning? Because we got to get you there by 6 o'clock. But your medical consultation might not be until 1:30 in the afternoon. You know what I'm saying? So be ready to rock and roll whenever that consultation is. So if you're working, which most of you are, or whatnot, we don't have any control. This isn't Burger King where you have it your way. It's whenever those medical consultations are, or the consult is what we call it. So whenever those consults are scheduled, that is when you're going. No ifs, and or buts, and do not miss it. Because it could be as late as 1 week from the date that you failed medical, or that medical consultation may be like a month and a half to 2 months after that medical. We don't have control of that. We have various contracts. Well, Meps has various contracts at certain companies and so on and so forth. So we got to work with them. So that's that. Now, once Meps gets your consultation results, they have to review everything and come to a decision whether you are permanently disqualified, no waivers authorized, or eligible to enlist, no waivers needed, or they can say they're permanently disqualified. However, if your branch of service approves a medical waiver for this condition, then you can enlist. Then that's when your recruiter will submit the waiver, and it will get approved or disapproved by the appropriate chief medical officer for your component of the Army or branch of the military. So how long does this whole medical thing process take? So if you pass everything, you'll be in there like swimwear before you know it. However, if you fail and you got to go through medical consultations, everything, it could literally take up to 6 months. And that could also include the medical waiver process. Now, the medical waiver in of itself, just the medical waiver, once it finally gets to the approval authority on deciding whether or not it'll be approved or disapproved, that guidance is like 60 days or less. Sometimes it takes longer than that, depending on the medical condition and how many waivers that are being submitted and all that good stuff. But if you have a medical condition, just make a mental note that it's going to take 30 to 180 days to get processed and to get into your branch of the military. And just because one branch of service denies your medical waiver, try another branch of service. Each component of the Army, or active Army and Reserve, they have the same approval authority. The National Guard, we have our own. If you go to another branch of service, their medical officer can approve or disapprove your medical waiver. So what one branch may disqualify you for, another branch could possibly approve you for. So beggars can't be choosers. Get your foot in the door and possibly do a lateral transfer to another branch of service later on, but at least get into the service. So be flexible, okay? And be patient. Follow up with your recruiter on a weekly to bi-monthly basis during this whole process. Medical waiver is actually pretty easy for recruiters, but criminal waivers, moral waivers, those are a pain in the butt. But also understand that if you are trying to get a medical scheduled and you disclose anything medically or criminally related, we have to submit those documents for a med read or medical read to the chief medical officer at Meps, and your Meps chief medical officer, or CMO for short, has to review those documents prior to approving you, or basically giving you permission to come in for the medical exam. So by MEPCOM policy, as of right now, the MEPS CML reviews 2 to 3 pages per day, business days, before they can whatever. So just times that by 2, because MEPS takes forever. At least our MEPS is one of the busiest MEPS in the country. So understand that they will only review 2 to 3 pages. So if you give a stack of like 20 plus pages to your recruiter, whatever your medical history is, understand the CMO is only going to review 2 to 3 pages per day. So how you multiply that, how many days before you start asking, hey, what's going on? So just be patient. Okay. Just follow up with your recruiter on a weekly basis if that is the case. All right. So with that being said, may the MEPS gods be in your favor. If you like this video so far, you like the tips and insights about the day at MEPS, do me a favor, like this video right now. Stop what you're doing. Like this video. And if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. So without further ado, before I go into the comments here on the channel, I want to get right into the competition or raffle, whatever you want, for my Team SWARTZ patch, right? So I said if you had put a hashtag Team SWARTZ below in the comment section of my last video about how the Army Combat Fitness Test is no longer a basic training requirement, you're competing for the patch. So hopefully you live in the US. Hopefully you're watching right now, because I'm about to give out my patch to somebody. I'm gonna open it up to any questions or concerns or topics that you want to discuss for the next 30 to 60 minutes. So I'm going to close my eyes here, and I am going to pull this one out. Drum roll, please. And the winner of the Team SWARTZ unit patch is breaking_reflections. No questions there. All right. So you see it there. So breaking_reflections. You are the winner of my Team SWARTZ unit patch. Do me a favor. Go to my Instagram at Team SWARTZ and say that you won the patch and everything. And I will mail you, once you give me a good mailing address, I will mail you out that patch tomorrow. Or you can shoot me a text at 917-576-3529, and we will make that happen for you. So congratulations, buddy. You won it. Appreciate you. And thank you so much. All right. So let's open it up for some questions. Let me scroll up because I'm going to start from the beginning. Okay. So hopefully if you posted a comment or question or something like that, we will get to it. With that being said, I hope you voted today. I know I sure did. So I don't care who you voted for, as long as you voted. And I don't even want to get into who's better or what. I'm not into it. So I hate politics, but I still had to exercise my right. Yeet. It's funny, Fernando. All right. Performance anxiety. No one asked us about drugs or drinking. It was really surprising. This was about 3 weeks ago in Los Angeles. Your analysis was the toughest part, waiting to when you were about to yourself. Yep. 100%, Jeremy. When's the last time you smoked weed? Never. 100%. When's the last time you smell weed? If you're in New York City, that's almost every day, multiple times a day. It's almost like cigarettes around here. Nadia 52130. Yeah, you should pass. Sorry, what does astigmatism change in job choices? So back when I enlisted, back in the day, it was like 2001. It was a simple telephonic waiver that they did over the phone. So when you do your medical exam, you get rated at 1, 2, 3, or higher. Ones in any department of the MEPS or MEPS medical. So it's called PULHES, PULHES. I forgot what they all mean, but E is for like eyes. So ones, like I said, you should be striving for ones across the board. So for me, because of my glasses and my astigmatism and my color vision being red green colorblind, it gave me a rating of a 2, right? 3 means you probably aren't going to qualify for any MOS, right? And it's definitely going to require a waiver. But a 1 and 2, you're good. But 3 or higher is going to require a waiver or be permanently disqualified Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Okay, if we're playing Monopoly. So I got rated for a 2 for having the astigmatism. For 1, I had slight astigmatism. Now it's way worse, but I had a slight astigmatism and I was regular colorblind. So your rating is a 1 through 3. 3 meaning you definitely need a waiver. 1s and 2s you're good, but 2s in anything is definitely going to restrict you from certain MOSs. So out of the over 120 MOSs that you could potentially qualify for, if you have 1s, you're good as long as you have the line scores. So the test figures out what your aptitude is, what we can teach you and you learn and be good at. The medical exam may preclude you from certain opportunities and such. Like I was supposed to be at 13 Foxtrot, which is in field artillery, which requires normal color vision, which obviously I don't have. So I couldn't do that. I had to be a paper pusher and become a Pogue, but don't get it twisted. I put the OG in Pogue. So with that being said, 1s and 2s, that's what you're striving for. Okay. West Fury, Bronx in the house. Hoo. All right. So I have astigmatism, but they never said anything about it. So Bill DeRoe. Yes, sometimes it's not that big of a deal. It depends on how bad your astigmatism is. So, and it also depends on how well you do the eye test. So I don't know exactly how they do it, but they look in your eye and all that good stuff. So you are probably one of the lucky ones. That's all I'm going to say. Because every time I get somebody that wears glasses, in my head as a recruiter, I'm like, DQ'd, consult. Almost everyone with glasses gets a consult. It's crazy. Ear flush and plugs, 100%, Kenton. Yep, that definitely helps when they clear out your ears. Yeah, I don't know why, but the rooms at Meps are always freezing. Always. And we feel ridiculous doing that duck walk. I'm telling you, that duck walk, yeah, definitely Google the duck walk. I have a video of it on my Instagram. If you scroll down towards the all the way to the bottom to my earlier videos from like several years ago, we were still wearing ACUs at the time. I have a video on my Instagram demonstrating the duck walk. So definitely go peep that if you want. So it's at Team SWARTZ on Instagram if you want to go check that out. Just like I said, scroll down to the bottom. And it's titled Duck Walk. Let's see. Yeah, after the stream. All right. Yes, definitely practice before you go. Definitely practice. Good luck at Meps. Good luck. Yes, at least I demonstrate for my applicants going onto the floor. Yeah, so our Meps is very particular, and they're a stickler for it, and they will make sure that you go heel to toe. Because if you don't go heel to toe, you're not flexible enough or maybe even coordinated enough. So they will disqualify you. I had somebody, luckily, within 30 days, they went back to Meps and they fixed it. But yeah, he wasn't very flexible in the toes. So we Googled some routines to make his feet more flexible, and by the end of the month, he was good to go. What's up, Vanna Wang? Welcome back. Welcome back. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Man, these doctors, man. They act like this is the FBI and they got the light on you and it's dark everywhere else. You know what I'm saying? They're like, where were you on October 15th of 2006? Yeah, they get a little too pumped up for that. So you got some flat feet problems? All right, here we go. Here's a question for the Q&A portion. What's it like drilling before going to, I think you meant basic combat training in the reserves? I don't ship to BSC until July want to start drilling as soon as possible. I think your BSC is for basic combat training, so I'm just going to assume that's what it is. So you're in the Army Reserve, so you're going to drill with your normal unit, and that's kind of more or less like what I did before I left for basic training. So when I enlisted in 2001, they had a program called GRIT, Guard Recruits in Transition, or Guard Recruit in Training. I did not opt in for that because that unit, that one central location where I enlisted, was like an hour and change away. I didn't feel like traveling that far. When my unit that I was actually going to be assigned to was like 30 minutes away. So that's where I went. And it was a field artillery company. Nobody prepared me for basic training. They didn't share anything. The only thing I remember is my company commander at the time. He was referencing, we can't say this term now because it's not politically correct, but he was telling me, when in doubt, whip it out. And he meant the salute. So we had to make sure that we saluted the proper people. And if you didn't know if you needed to salute or whatever, just make sure you salute. So when in doubt, whip it out was his saying at the time. And so you'll just be with the unit. And to be honest with you, your reserve unit probably don't even want you there because then they got to babysit you. You're not even MOS qualified. So if they're going out to the field for that weekend, they can't do anything with you because you have no uniforms, you have no equipment, so on and so forth. If you're lucky, you'll get a uniform assigned to you and some boots, if you're lucky. But most of the time, they just want you to hang out with the Future Soldier program. So it really depends on your area and what effort they put into it. So you're really not going to be able to do much because, like I said, you're not a MOS qualified soldier, and they're probably not going to babysit you. So you just be hanging out all drill weekend. And that's the truth. Now, if you're in the Army National Guard, however, you'll be attending the what is now called the Recruit Sustainment Program. With the Recruit Sustainment Program, it's broken down into phases: red, white, and blue, so on and so forth. And with that being said, you'll be learning things that you'll be learning at Army basic training or even experiencing. So they'll give you a taste of what you'll be going through at Army basic training. And to, mentally and physically prepare you. So you'll do the physical fitness test, motivational PT, breaking weapons down, putting them back together, clearing out rooms, learning about land navigation, map reading, basic first aid, things of that nature. Yeah, that sucks. What happens the day you ship to basic training when you go to Meps? So essentially, most likely your recruiter will put you in Meps, the hotel the night before, and you'll go to Meps the next morning. If you're a male, all they're checking is your height and weight and asking you questions. Do you have anything changed with your health since you enlisted, and any new law violations? And as long as those answers are a negative, you will pass go and collect $200 and go on to training. Females will get an additional pregnancy test in addition to what I just described, and you'll move on from there. If you did not, let's say you forgot to mention to your recruiter that you got a speeding ticket, but it's been settled, like you pled guilty or you settled it and it was dismissed or whatever, you need to update all that information in the system prior to leaving and possibly source that documentation pertaining to that. So yeah, just make sure that the day that you enlist, all right, listen up. The day you enlist forward, your recruiter is your mommy, your daddy, your mental health professional, your everything. Well, not everything. Okay. We're not your boyfriend or girlfriend, but if you get hurt, you get injured, you get sick, you get a parking ticket, you get a speeding ticket, a citation, a summons, it doesn't matter. Before you call up mommy and daddy, you call up your recruiter and you update them on your situation. Okay? That way, we can make sure that you are good to go so that you can ship out. And if you got big problems, you don't got bigger problems by not sharing it. Okay? So make sure you keep your recruiter informed of everything that deals with your health, your legal status, anything, married, divorced. Your recruiter needs to know as soon as possible. So unless you're literally getting handcuffed or bleeding out and dying, call your recruiter and let them know what's up. All right? You're welcome, recruiters. Whether you're guard, reserve, or army, it's all the same standards. We all follow the same army regulations, policies, guidance, and all that good stuff. Here we go. If I join in the New Jersey Guard, can I transfer to New York Guard before going to boot camp? No. So when you join the National Guard, to do or conduct a interstate transfer is what we call it. No state is going to take a soldier that's not MOS qualified. So what you're going to have to do is go to training, get MOS qualified, complete all your initial entry training, come back, and then initiate an interstate transfer. Just email me when you're like a month out before graduating from AIT, and I will email you the interstate transfer packet or whatever the current guidance is to initiate an interstate transfer. That way, when you come back, you can initiate that through your home state, and they will speak to each other. New York and New Jersey, the ISD coordinators will initiate, and it'll just move much, much faster. All right. But I got you covered, Dana. All right. So for me, they didn't ask so many questions, which I was surprised about. I was expecting to be an investigation, but that didn't happen. She just asked me certain 5 questions, and I made her laugh. All right. So I don't know what you mean, Pickle M, but it really depends on the MEPS and possibly the timing. Let me tell you, the best time to join if you had a medical issue or any issues is literally like the beginning of COVID. Like, I don't even think the doctors were comfortable with even talking to you. Like, normally they'd be like all in here with the light and everything. I think they were just like, you look good. You passed medical. Congratulations. Virtual high five. That, in my opinion, that was like the best time for somebody to process. Why change states within the same branch? So unlike the reserves, so reserves and active duty, that's global, right? Or reserves is national, but active duty is global. So it's federal. So you could belong in New York, but if the reserve decides to put you in Wichita, Kansas for drill weekends, then you're going to have to travel to Wichita, Kansas for drill because they're federal. They can send you anywhere in the United States. They're going to try to keep local, but it's possible for them to put you anywhere in the United States. With that being said, when you join the National Guard, it is state specific. Each state and U.S. territory has its own National Guard. So we answer to the governor of each state, and that is our boss. Our secondary boss, just as important, is the president because of our unique dual mission. So we serve both state and federal missions. I don't want to go on a rant with funding and all that stuff, but if somebody says something smart, I'm going to correct you. All right. So good luck tomorrow, Matthew. Good luck. May the Meps gods be with you. Yeah, just be patient, Contrastic. All right. Waivers can be pretty frustrating, both not only for the. All right, let me tell you something else about waivers, whether it's a moral waiver, a medical waiver, or even an administrative waiver if you're a prior service individual and you require an administrative waiver. Waivers suck, okay? Your recruiter is just as motivated as you to get you in boots, okay? So, with that being said, once the waiver is submitted, you don't have to ask your recruiter every day, what's going on with my waiver? What's going on with my waiver? What's going on with my waiver? Trust me when I tell you this. We live, breathe, eat, crap, everything about enlistments, okay? So as soon as we get word that your waiver is approved, we're going to be sending you down there so you could be in there like swimwear, okay? Trust and believe we want you in boots as soon as possible. But it is still in good practice to follow with your recruiter at least weekly, all right? That's just my personal opinion and advice. But trust me, we are monitoring that, if not daily, weekly. Our leadership every week goes down to Meps. What's going on with this medical waiver? What's going on with this medical waiver? What's going on with this medical waiver? Trust me, we are looking to get you in as fast as possible. Okay. So I'm 25, a little older than most people thinking about to enlist. Is MEPS harder on older recruits? No, not necessarily. I think it's better for you, honestly. But just listen to your recruiter. All I'm going to say. Well, you're welcome, Clarissa Adame. You're very welcome. I appreciate you appreciating me doing these live streams. I do it for you guys. I like helping people out. Will you be posting the? Yes, I will. Absolutely. I always repost my lives. This is episode 10, so this is the 10th one. this year that I've done. I plan on doing weekly lives, at least once a week. So definitely look forward to them. Usually on Tuesdays. I just started. This is the second week that I did my live stream at 6 p.m. and it seems to be doing well because I got 73 people chiming in here, but which is probably like 20% more than doing it at 10 a.m. So I'm trying to help you all out. Most of you said 6 a.m. was better than 7 p.m. So I got you. So I appreciate y'all. No, not really. My buddy was supposed to go get his MLS, but Meps found out he had a profile and want more stuff on his shins. The doctor said that he had shin splints and he never had it. Yeah, that sounds like a prior service guy. I'm telling you, man. I hate Meps. My hardest was I had a surgery, so they had all my medical documents. So I got medically disqualified, and I need a waiver to get in. Yeah, that's normal, Katie. Perfectly normal. Sometimes these medical documents include other things that are not related to what you disclosed that could possibly get you disqualified as well. So that's why it's very important that when you go and get medical documentation, that you're only asking for the medical documentation pertaining to the thing that you disclosed, and hopefully, God willing, there's nothing else that's part of that medical issue that could get you disqualified. You know, one thing, I'm glad you said it. The people at Maps are angry for no reason. They will treat you nasty just for standing there. I never understood that about Maps personnel. I mean, it's gotten better over the years. I'm not going to lie. It has gotten better. But I remember at one point from like 2005 to like maybe 2012, the Meps personnel, and they're still like that. They're just nasty. And I don't get it. Like, you do not exist without us recruiters and recruits or potential or applicants, basically. You do not exist without us. So be grateful that you got a job, do your job, customer satisfaction and customer loyalty. Okay. It's all about customer satisfaction. And I feel that all Meps, to include our Meps, for Hamilton Meps, is downright horrible. I mean, they've gotten better. There's a few good ones, but majority of them, horrible, horrible customer service. Downright nasty for no freaking reason. It's like, excuse you? I'm sorry. Could you say that again? Because last time I checked, I'm not a child. Okay? I'm not your child. I even had the Meps commander look at me retarded. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. It's not politically correct. This guy, this is how bad it can be at Meps, right? The way they have it all set up, they have it so that people zigzag, right, to get to the front desk, and they have like maybe 1 to 3 people checking people into Meps. There was one person online, one person getting checked in, and one person checking people in. The Meps commander was standing by the stairwell that goes downstairs. Had to use the restroom or the latrine. Like I said, I wasn't busy. Not busy at all. I walked in front of the person that was online to go to the restroom. When I came out of the restroom, the commander's like, come here. With attitude. Straight up attitude. Do not walk in front of the line and in front of the front desk. Go around. But it was the way he said it. I'm like, yes, sir. But I swear, if this was corporate, tell them right where to go. Gotta love the military, man. Bite your tongue. Maintain your military bearings, we call it. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Can I have some more? And you got some special characters that work at Meps. The same commander, swear to God. He's from the Air Force. I thought he was cool because he has the same haircut as me, you know? We have the same barber. Hopefully he tips him well. Nah, I shave my head by myself. Don't even need a mirror anymore. That's how good I'm at it. But I swear to God, kid you not, one of our National Guard recruiters, if you don't know anything about New York City or New York, he was working out of Queens. And if you don't know anything, it's literally like it is deep. Like it's a 2-hour drive from where he was picking up applicants. And he picked up 4 applicants that morning. 4 applicants. And he got to the parking lot at 6:58 in the morning. I mean, 5:58 in the morning. Got inside Meps at 6:02. 6:02. And this commander was like, rules are rules. Your applicants aren't processing today. Your applicants are not processing today, son. I don't care, son. I don't care, son. I'm telling you right now, son. You're 2 minutes late. In fact, you know what? I saw you in the parking lot at 5:58. You're late, son. I'm sorry, but your applicants are not processing today. For being 2 minutes late into the building. But he saw they had eye contact. He knew they were coming. And because he was 2 minutes late, he made all 4 applicants and that recruiter go home that day because they were 2 minutes late. I don't know if it's an Air Force thing or if it's just a him thing, but no customer service at all. Yo, if you're a commander, you're in charge of Meps, you probably didn't do something right in your career. That's probably why he's miserable. 100%, Ken. I couldn't have said it better than you. All right, 100%. They always feel like you're wasting their time for no reason. And it's their job. I never understood that. Why would you go work somewhere that you're completely miserable at? Like, I understand that some people do it for the benefits. Like if they work for like a federal or state position or something like that because they have great benefits and retirement and all that stuff, but they're just downright miserable. I hate those types of people. Go find something that you're passionate about. Just make sure it's enough money to pay for your bills and do something that you love, because then you're never gonna have issues, right? It's never gonna feel like work, and you're probably gonna sound and be better and more enjoyable to work with. Just saying. So if you pick a job with a top secret clearance and lied about anything, including medical, you better cross your fingers. 100%. Yeah, I don't understand. Like that happens too, right? They forget to do something and then they yell at you like it's your fault. 100%, Matt. 100%. Good luck in training, Justin. Make us proud. Make us proud. Yeah, reception is the second worst thing about the military process. I hated reception. In fact, I was stuck at reception for 16 days before we finally got to Army basic training. My mouse ain't. Here we go. Here we go. My mouse is finally working. All right. So I've personally never had to deal with expungements, but it basically goes by whatever statement the applicant says about that particular crime. So it's considered a self-admittal, right? So it's going to require at least what we call a suitability review, and possibly a waiver. So it's considered a self-admittal, and you have to go off of memory, basically, like what you were arrested for, what was the final outcome, so on and so forth. Because when it's expunged, it's no longer in the system. See, here we go. Here we go. All right. So, yep, I hate Meps too, man. Hate it with a passion. They got a couple of good people in there, but I hate Meps. All right, so pickle 'em. Can you talk about different types of clearances? The higher you go, the more restrictions that are going to be involved. At minimum, you need to be at least a U.S. citizen with minimal to no law violations. Off the top of my head, it goes secret clearance, top secret, so on and so forth. I don't have everything in front of me to go off of it, but I just know top secret and secret. And those are pretty much the top two that we use in the National Guard or in the Army that I'm aware of. But yeah, it's like the more restrictions you have, the higher you go. Like to the point where, like, if you have family members that were convicted of certain crimes or not citizens and living in a particular country that maybe we're not so friendly with right now, may impact the decision, make or have an impact on the decision of your clearance interview and so on and so forth. So yeah, good luck. Well, good luck, Antonetti. Good luck. I know my social security number, but I physically don't have the card itself. Would I need to show that to recruiters or at Meps? All right. So if you're not enlisted yet and you have a copy of your social, you can use that for testing. However, you're going to need the physical copy at time of enlistment in the time that you ship. Okay. So go and get yourself a replacement. It takes 10 business days, so 2 weeks, 14 days to get that in the mail. Get that as soon as possible. You're definitely going to need it. Now, if you're testing and you don't have your social or a copy of it, you can use your W-2 that has your social security number on it, or a pay stub if your social security number is on your pay stub. Outside of those two options, off the top of my head, that's the only way that you're going to be able to test without your physical social security card. It's possible. I mean, the doctor is most likely going to see it and question you about it. But if you've never seen a doctor for it, they may have you do a medical consultation to see a specialist or something. But yeah, it's more than likely. Well, it's probably going to get you disqualified. But, hope for the best. You could be at Meps and go, "Achoo!" And be like, disqualified. You laugh, but Meps is like that, man. So as of right now, with COVID restrictions, no one's allowed at Meps. So it's just going to be the applicants processing and doing the oath of enlistment. It used to be family members could go there for the oath of enlistment or when you're shipping out and doing your oath of enlistment. But as of right now, due to COVID restrictions, no one's allowed in Meps, not even recruiters, unfortunately. So until that changes, no one's going to be allowed in there. What if someone has a mild case of anemia? What I would tell you is go get some iron pills and take a supplement of iron every day for at least a month prior to your medical exam so that your iron levels are good. Trust me, eat iron enriched foods, take an iron supplement. That'll increase your iron levels and you should be fine. It's really what we eat. And if you eat garbage every day and you don't have a general healthy diet, then that's when we have issues. I mean, women tend to have low iron deficiencies all the time. It's pretty normal. But you should be fine. But like I said, 15 to 30 days prior to your medical, eat iron enriched foods and take that iron supplement. You should be fine. Grammar Hero, hey, listen up. He does a lot of great ASVAB tutoring videos. So if you want to go and get help with your ASVAB test, you need to increase your scores. On average, he did a survey recently And due to his videos, people have raised or increased their line scores or their test scores, their AFQT score from 20 to 80 points on average per depending on the potential applicant. And a lot of people, I go to a few ASVAB support pages on Facebook, and a lot of people are always talking about Grammar Hero. So definitely go check out his page. He's got a lot of great helpful videos, will help you with the math and everything. Definitely go check him out, and subscribe to his channel. All right. He's got a ton of videos, and they're all free. All the videos on his channel are free. That's very good advice. Yes, definitely roll your feet. There you go. See? People are actually using his channel. So after high school, I want to become a physician assistant in the Army. Should I join before or after college? So basically finish college and then commission, or join before college. All right, Lily, I can't tell you what's a better option for you. It depends on you and how much you think you can handle. All right. Now, if you go guard or reserve, or essentially part-time in the military, it's more flexible to the point where you can focus on your college full time. But for financial gains, I think that the National Guard may be a good fit for you because of our state tuition assistance program. But check out the Army Reserve and Army National Guard. Both have access to a possible program, depending on your ASVAB scores, for a physician assistant program. All right. You might have to go through an AMED recruiter, but talk to your Army Reserve and Army National Guard recruiter about the physician assistant program. But what I would say is take the ASVAB test, but choose the component of the Army or branch of military that you think that you're going to join. Again, the only difference between Guard and Reserve when it comes to benefits is that the Guard has more money for college through the state tuition assistance program. The federal benefits are all the same. If you want to know the difference, I'll post a video about the Guard versus Reserve that I did. And this video will break down the differences and similarities between the Guard and Reserve. Okay. Okay. Both of them are excellent options, and it really boils down to your needs, wants, and desires. So I'm not going to say one is better than the other. I will say that the National Guard is more advantageous when it comes to monetary gains to pay for college. But if you get into physician assistant program, both programs have the same benefits as far as that goes. So definitely check them out. All right, Lily. I also did another video, how to join the right way. Okay. And this video will walk you through the best practices and how to choose a component of the Army or branch of the military to go into. Okay. Obviously, I am a National Guard recruiter. I am pro guard, go guard all day, every day. However, it's what's best for you, for your reasons and your reasons alone. If a recruiter talks trash about another component of the Army or another branch of service, they're not confident in what they're selling. And you may not be a good applicant for the National Guard. Maybe the Reserve would be better, or another branch of the service. So that's why it's important for you to do your research, figure out what your why is, and figure out what your deal breakers are. What is it that you want to achieve by joining the military? Now, for the most part, every component of the military or the Army and branch of the military can help you achieve your goals. So that's why it's very important that you do your research, maybe even talk to people in those branches of services to hear their insights. But my video will explain all that to you. So how to join the right way may help you. Okay. All right. So I fractured my wrist 3 years ago, but it's 100% healed now. Great. I visited my doctor only a couple of times throughout the past 3 years. Would that disqualify me? I'm currently waiting on my med read. No, because all right. So when you fractured, usually when you have an issue with a joint is where you're gonna have major issues, probably a permanent disqualification. But if it was anything other than the joint and it's healed properly and you have full range of motion and flexibility and all that good stuff, it's going to get approved. You're going to be fine. In my opinion, based on what you shared with me, you'll be fine. As long as it's more than a year old and it's properly healed, you're good to go. Good question. All right. So, Katie, yes, you are going to require a medical waiver for the MOS in which you are about to enlist for. Okay. Quick question. When getting a moral waiver, how many signatures will you need to get the waiver passed? We only need the approval authority to sign off on it. But if that's what you mean, how many signatures do I need? I mean, this isn't a, what do they call those things? Slipped my mind. Bald moment, equivalent to a blonde moment. Can't remember it. Can't think of it. But with that being said, that's all we're looking for is the signature from the approval authority to get your waiver approved. So I think that's what you mean. How do recruiters deal with people who already have an expunged record? I think I already answered that, but yeah. So it's essentially a self-admittal, and we'll have to do at least a suitability review and or a waiver. And essentially, you're going to disclose all the details of who, what, where, all the 5 W's, who, what, where, when, all that good stuff, names, time of day, all that stuff. What were the original charges? What were you actually charged with? Blah, blah, blah. And it's up to the decision-making person to approve or disapprove your waiver. It can be a big problem at Meps. Any type of skin condition, they look at what it could possibly become later on in life. And I didn't think like acne was a big deal. Listen, if you have pimples, it is what it is. All right. Um, talk to your recruiter. All right. Get whatever medical documentation that's needed. You can't be on any type of like prescription creams or anything like that. You got to be off of medication for at least 6 to 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks prior to your enlistment process. I've never even heard of that. Is that even a thing to be yellow colorblind? Never heard of that. It's either red, green, or black and white. Never heard of that. I'll have to look into that. That's new to me. I'm guessing my ASVAB score has no bearing on passing the flat foot issue. 100%. We don't care. Quentin, I answered that question already. It could take up to 180 days to process DMPM moral waivers. When I was younger, I had an ingrown toenail. Would that disqualify me? I mean, is it still an ingrown toenail? Do you have no toenail? I mean, they're not going to know if you look normal. But yeah, ingrown toenail shouldn't be a problem. We get those approved all the time. As long as it's not giving you an issue, not in pain and such. Let's see. Hey, baby girl. I'll call you right back, okay? All right. Thank you, baby. Love you. I'm streaming, see? Yeah. I'll call you right back, okay, baby? All right. My apologies. So I'm going to be doing a video for you, not just for you, Rick, but for anybody where English is not your primary language. There's a program called Flurry. And if you fail the ASVAB test, but score high enough, and I think it's the DLAB test. No, I'm sorry, the ECLT test, right? The language test, right? With those two tests, if your scores are exactly what we're looking for and they're aligned perfectly, you can join through the Flurry program. And what that does is it's only offered in the first 6 months of our fiscal year. So from October 1st through the end of March. If you enlist in the Flurry program, what they'll do is they'll send you away to learn English for 6 months. And in those 6 months, you'll take the ASVAB test 3 times. Once you pass the ASVAB test and you still qualify for your MOS, you will move on to basic training, so on and so forth. If at the end of those 6 months and you don't pass the ASVAB test, then you obviously be processed for discharge. However, it's a great program because they teach you English and you'll ultimately pass the ASVAB test. And the perfect thing about it is you're getting paid the entire time to learn English for up to 6 months before you go into training. This is a great program. I'm going to be doing a video on it very, very soon. So make sure you watch out for that. Okay, Rick? And that goes for anybody else where if you fail the ASVAB test and English is not your primary language, we got you covered. So I think I answered your question already, but it could take up to 60 days, give or take, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. Benjamin, I answered this last week during the live stream, bro. You can only wear what's issued to you. That's it. No face shields. All right. So face mask, that's it. At best, you might be able to wear your gaiter. Okay. So with this, we'll go off of your driver's abstract. Whatever's on your driver's abstract, that's what we'll put in there if you can't remember everything. So just pull up your driver's abstract, and that's what we'll put in the system. Everything else will be a self-admittal if you admit anything else other than that. So when it comes to traffic violations, as of right now, the current guidance is you can have as many traffic violations as you want. Not necessarily want, but as long as they're settled and they're not a pending open court case, you can enlist. If you have a pending ticket that you plan on fighting with a lawyer and you have a pending court case in the distance, you're not eligible to enlist until all court cases are final and closed and no other further actions need to take place. If you have calluses on your feet, but they don't bother you literally at no other problems, would that do? No. Actually, calluses are going to be your friend, especially when you start ruck marching allegiance. Especially on the balls of your feet and stuff like that. Having calluses are definitely going to help you out at basic training with all the ruck marches. If you have soft feet and you don't have any calluses, you're going to have a bad day at training. So yes, having calluses are definitely going to condition your feet. You're definitely already primed for basic training. But if you're going from straight from the couch to basic training, you got some super soft feet because you're just not an active person at all. Yes, calluses are normal for runners, and the more calluses you have on your feet, the better. Kenton, is that for the National Guard or for the Army Reserve? Let me know. If you're in New York City and you want a 68 whiskey slot, let me know. I might have the hookup to get an excess slot at one of the local units. So let me know. I might be able to get an excess slot for you. So let me know. I might be able to hook you up. I've been around for 16 years. All right. So I'm kind of like H&R Block. I've got people. Hit me up on Instagram at Team SWARTZ or shoot me a text 68 Whiskey to 917-576-3529. My number is down in the description area, and we will talk tomorrow. Don't worry about the flat feet too much, man. If you follow my tips, like if you're in a standing position, you have your feet parallel to each other like this, and just like twist your knees like outward while your legs are still straight, it's going to force the arch part of your foot to lift off the ground a little bit, hopefully, God willing. And you should pass as long as you follow those tips. Like distract the person when they're going to look at your feet, like ask them a question and just like move your knees outward, and that'll give a false sense of an arch on your feet. Must be starting first class Ramirez. That's where we got it from. Yes response means your enlistment. What is it? Yes, your enlistment. Oh yeah, your enlistment stops. No means you still have responsibilities, new opportunities rather. So yes responses mean that your enlistment stops. No means you still have new opportunities. Sounds like Sergeant First Class Ramirez was your recruiter. You do whatever you think is best for you, Matthew. All right. Um, is there a reason why you want to ship out in the earlier part of the year? Like, are you trying to get back in time for the fall semester for college, or what is your why? Hopefully, I'll get to your response before this stream is over because I only got another 3 minutes left, and then I'm gonna go. Yeah, unless you've been diagnosed from a doctor, there ain't nothing wrong with you, bro. Or ma'am. Not sure if Kenton is a male or female name, but I apologize if I offended you. But yeah, unless you were diagnosed from a doctor, there ain't nothing medically wrong with you. If you tell me that you have a food allergy or something, how do you know? Well, I don't know. When I eat it, my throat scratches and whatnot. Oh, so you don't have an allergy? Did a doctor tell you have an allergy? Well, no. Did you get tested for that particular allergy? No. Then you don't have an allergy. You just have something that happens to you, right? So don't disqualify yourself. But in fact, if you are diagnosed properly with a doctor and they ran tests and whatnot, then you do have, in fact, a medical issue. It did for a short while, but it depends. But just talk to your recruiter. They'll tell you what to do and what paperwork you need to get. Very welcome. Very, very welcome. Zaddy, check out. I mean, I don't know if you're clean eating, working out, whatever your regimen is, but if you want, hit me up on Instagram at Team SWARTZ. I'll email you a workout program and possibly suggest a ketogenic diet and combining that with an intermittent fasting protocol. And you will be one fat burning machine. I went from 190 pounds to 163 pounds in a matter of 2.5 months following a ketogenic diet / low carb diet, strength training workout, and a very aggressive intermittent fasting protocol. It's not the end all be all, but it's a great program if you combine all those things together. Listen, if you're going to the Fort Hamilton Meps, do not get caught with your cell phone at all. They'll put you in an end status for up to 6 months, meaning that you are banned from Meps to process for up to 6 months. All right, just don't do it. Okay. I'm surprised you were able to have your phone, because in Meps in Fort Hamilton, you cannot have your cell phone. If caught with a cell phone, and then the recruiter gets in trouble on top of that. All right. So in AIT is the ACFT is still required to qualify for the job or MLS. So go Conlam, go check out my video I posted yesterday that the Army Combat Fitness Test is no longer a graduation requirement until October 1st of 2021 in a training environment. And that includes OSUT, basic training, AIT, OCS, WOC school for warrant officers, basic officer leadership course, and the equivalent for WOCs, warrant officers, so on and so forth. Doesn't matter if you pass or fail, you will move forward until you get to your unit of assignment. And if you make it to your unit of assignment before October 1st of 2021, you're not obligated to pass the ACFT as of right now until 31 March of 2022. That's like Cliff Notes. Should I wait to join the Guard until I decide my college so I can join the State Guard also when I transfer to New York? Sounds like you have a complicated scenario. So why don't you do me a favor, Vanna? Text me, all right? Text me your name, Vanna Wang, to my phone number, 917-576-3529. Let's have a conversation tomorrow, and we will assess your situation and whether it's in your best interest to join the New Jersey Guard first. Then we will do so. And or if the New York Guard would be better for you, it depends on the scenario. But I'm going to do whatever helps you the best, whether that's for me or not with me and with somebody else. Okay. So, in a nutshell, you have to belong to the state. You have to have an address in the state and go to a college in the state for the National Guard that you belong to for the state tuition assistance to work. That's in a nutshell. That's just for the state tuition. Federal tuition, you can go anywhere in the country. But for state tuition assistance, it is state specific for the college that you go into and the state of the National Guard that you belong to. Yeah, I hated Meps. All right. So there is a lot of questions and stuff that I didn't get to, but I'm going to quickly breeze through it. All right. I'm glad you brought this up because this was actually in one of the green card forums on Facebook that I follow. All right. So if you have an I-551, meaning green card, where the applicant received less than a year ago, can they enlist? So if you are a permanent resident with a permanent green card, right? Like a 10-year green card, you're good to go. In the Army, if you are on a conditional green card where it's issued for 2 years from the date of your ship date for basic training, you need at least 6 months left on your green card before it expires to be able to join and ship off the training. If not, then what I would suggest to you is to go to the embassy or whatever, or the immigration office, and get your passport stamped and get an extension for a year. And that could be used for enlistment. But ideally, you should have 6 months left on your conditional green card or even your permanent resident 10-year green card. You have to have at least 6 months left before it expires. That was a good question. They look at your criminal history, where you've traveled to, the reasons for those travels, so on and so forth. And they'll definitely dive into your character references and your family members. So if you have family members that were like criminals, that could also hinder their decision on giving you any type of clearance, so on and so forth. They don't really care too much about your medical history, but they definitely care about your criminal history, your travel history, and the reasons behind them. And they will ask you all kinds of different questions. So for me, I had to go for a secret clearance, and I went to Colombia. And I remember just having a general conversation with the interviewee, or interviewer rather. I was the interviewee, but I had shared that when I was in Colombia, I went up on a trolley and it went up the mountain and down the mountain. I had no clue where in Colombia I was. I don't speak a lick of Spanish, but I just simply shared my experience, because I remember looking down at the locals that were literally living in shacks that had like pieces of metal planks and metal wood, and that were made up in homes. And I was like, it's just like the movies when they run down the rooftops down the mountain type of thing, like for those types of movies. And I just remember expressing it was just like the movies. It was so sad. She literally called me up like 3 or 4 different times on 3 or 4 different occasions to ask me, so what is this trolley? And I'm like, it's a box with windows and it's suspended in air on a cable, and it goes up the mountain and down the mountain. And I had repeated myself 3 or 4 times just talking about that. Like, it's it's a cube, it's a box. It's designed to transport people to the top of the mountain and down the mountain. And all I did was go up the mountain and right back down the mountain. Never even got off the trolley. But yeah, they want to know everything. That's a really good question. You're gonna need your DD-214, your discharge paperwork, possibly your discharge packet. Have that conversation with your recruiter if you're gonna come in with the same MOS. It really depends on the component of the Army or the branch of service if they're gonna allow you to reclass, so on and so forth, et cetera, et cetera. And you're gonna have to go through the process and Meps all over again, unless you have a valid PHA and you've been out of the service for less than 6 months. Then we can use your PHA in lieu of Meps. Regardless if your PHA is still valid, if you've been out for more than 6 months, you'll be required to do another Meps medical, unfortunately. If you've been out of service for more than 5 years, you'll have to do basic training over again. So keep that in mind. You might be able to get it waived if your recruiter puts in a waiver, but at minimum, you're going to have to do basic training over again. Yeah, watch the beginning part of this video. I talked about anything about Meps. Thank you. Appreciate it. Usually within 6 months. When are you going to Meps? Or better yet, you might want to direct message me on Instagram, because I'm about to log off for the night. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get through all these. Hey, listen up. You guys are extremely important to me. I love answering your questions and everything. But if I did not get to your question or statement and you want a response from me, hit me up on Instagram at Team SWARTZ. I'd be more than happy to help you out. Or shoot me a text message. And my number and contact information is down below in the description area. You can send me an email, text message, or hit me up on Instagram, like I said, at Team SWARTZ, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is going to conclude this week's live stream. This is episode 10 on a day at Meps and what to expect in 2020 and 2021. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you made it this far in the video, do me a favor, drop a hashtag Team SWARTZ down in the comment sections. You guys are my real ride or die MVPs of Team SWARTZ. If you drop a hashtag Team SWARTZ, you are a Team SWARTZ squad member. Appreciate y'all. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for coming in tonight. And with that being said, have a good night. Be blessed. Be good. And I'll see you next week, Tuesday, 6 p.m. sharp. Thank you very much and have a great night. Take care, y'all.